Starting another playthrough of Legends Arceus? Good. It's a great game that feels good to play, especially for one key reason that better come back in Legends ZA. It's almost like this game was designed to get me back into shiny hunting. And I'm sure you'll have as much fun as I did, but trust me when I say watching this video will save you hours and hours of tedious work that I had to do on my first playthrough. But I saved that time my second time around by using some of these key strategies. These will help you fill or even perfect some of your Pokédex entries so you increase those shiny odds as soon as possible. Remember, the goal of any playthrough is to beat the game, complete your decks by catching them all, and get your dex level to 10 for each Pokemon as soon as possible, so you can start those efficient shiny hunts at better than 1 in 300 odds. First up, and probably one of my favorite parts of this game, is that due to the way XP, battling, and catching works in this game, you're encouraged to switch up your team early and often. In any previous Pokemon games, switching out a team member can make the game harder and break any momentum and pacing you have due to keeping up with lower level team members and lost EV yields on your Pokemon. But with the goal of Legends Arceus being Pokédex completion, the best possible thing you can do is to switch out your Pokemon every now and then. Make sure to favor fully evolved Pokemon, as their dex entries consist of a lot of moves that need to be used in order to complete their research tasks. Also try to focus on the fully evolved Pokemon that tend to appear in the wild a lot, or as alpha spawns, as you'll constantly be traveling past them on the map, which means more chances to find these alphas as shinies. Some of my favorites that I went for early include Floatzel, Snorlax, and Parasect, but you just choose the ones you want. Now that you're switching your team members out, let's consider what to do with these new Pokemon. When trying to remember what was needed to fill dex entries, I used to reference Bulbapedia pages and things like that, and I even used a Legends Arceus spreadsheet for a little while. But all in all, constantly switching back and forth between my laptop screen and Switch was less efficient than this next method, especially when I was on the go. First, I'd check my research tasks once I knew I had a Pokemon I'd like to focus on, such as Empoleon here. Empoleon needs to use Wave Crash and Hydro Pump 40 times each, and also needs to use Strong Style moves. So, I nicknamed it S-Crash Pump, the S being for Strong Style and the other two words cueing me to use the proper moves, which I of course taught to Empoleon as soon as I could. Let's do one more. My Samurott has already completed its task for Ceaseless Edge and Aqua Tail, but it still needs to use Hydro Pump 25 times and hit 40 moves in both the Agile and Strong Style. It needs less Strong Style moves than Agile Style, so I'll favor Agile by putting it first in the nickname. Here we go. So we'll nickname him AS Hydro or AS Pump. I personally like AS Pump best. Next, we'll talk about one of my favorite Pokeballs and arguably the most satisfying to use in any Pokemon game, Jet Balls. While its catch rate modifier of 2x is slightly lower than the Ultra Ball, which boasts a 2.25 times modifier, the convenience of these things is unmatched. Sniping Pokemon from afar before they're able to notice you is one of the easiest ways to catch Pokemon in Legends. And with Jet Balls, you're able to cheese most alpha Pokemon way before your team should be able to handle them level-wise, even if it takes 20 tries. You'll need to achieve an 8-star rank with Silene to get here, but the game sure does speed up after you gain access to the item, so get grinding. I've seen some people reach crazy high ranks even before the Cleavor fight, but do what feels good to you. On the topic of key items, you'll need some items to get you through your playthrough and make things as easy as possible. These items include things like the aforementioned Jet Balls, Sticky Globs, Aguav Berries for Munchlax in the post-game, then of course Tumblestones, Apricorns, and Iron Chunks to make the Pokeballs you'll need to throw tons of to fill your decks. Luckily, Legends Arceus has made it really easy to both get these items and of course get the money to buy these items. Now, the methods that are really easiest to obtain more money in this game aren't the easiest things to come by, which are the Misfortune Sisters, only in the post-game, and the Space-Time Distortions, which you have to wait plenty of time for in one area to get one to appear. But one you can always do is simply catch alpha Pokemon, and a lot of them. You'll make a few thousand Pokédollars from Professor Laventon as you go just by doing this. You'll also complete a lot of research tasks along the way. Then, simply finish choice quests while you're playing through the game to unlock your purchases, and remember to craft as much as possible, as it'll help you save money. Now, I've seen some pretty cool videos on RNG manipulation and things like that, and while I didn't want to do this for my own shiny hunting to keep things a little more surprising and unpredictable, It was nice to find out that after the Daybreak update, we still had a good way to reset for specific Pokemon. In a game like Legends Arceus with so many shiny spawns, it can be pretty frustrating to find the same shinies over and over and over again, while you only really need 10 or so specific species to complete your decks. Throughout my first playthrough of the game and pre-update, I was able to reset on mass outbreaks and then go in and retry for a specific Pokemon a few times in a row. Unfortunately, after the Daybreak update, these mass outbreaks are locked and the Pokemon they spawn always have the same stats and values, meaning shininess is also predetermined. However, the Daybreak update also gave us massive mass outbreaks, and specifically these secondary hordes, which still have the same first 4 Pokemon predetermined, but if you change up how you defeat, catch, or scare away these Pokemon, the next spawns, which can also be alpha spawns, are changed up, and some can appear shiny after a few resets or what they call permutations. Speaking of mass outbreaks, use them early and often, as soon as they start occurring. Not only are they your most direct route to catching shinies at 1 in 158.2 odds even before any of your boosts, they are also your best friends when it comes to completing some of the toughest tasks in the game. Take a Slaks outbreak for example. You'll be able to throw food out and complete the times you've given it food task 4 times faster than if you just found one in the Obsidian Fieldlands, which itself, trust me, is no easy task. The key here is that the outbreaks are the best time to synergize the number defeated and number defeated with a certain type of move for the Pokemon in the outbreak with times you've seen it use a certain move on whichever Pokemon you're clearing the outbreak with. Basically, you can complete about 3 research tasks at once with a certain type of Pokemon, and not having to flip through different Pokemon and moves while you're riding through whichever map you're in. These genuinely saved me so much time and kept my game state moving forward while I was shiny hunting. It's a win-win. And if you've reached the post-game, massive mass outbreaks, while only giving you half as good shiny odds, have a ton of potential as you can rip through them a bit faster and for a lot cheaper, while spawning more outbreaks in, which is especially helpful if you're down to your last 20 or 30 shinies or perfect Dexmons, and all you need is to find very specific outbreaks. I'm hoping someone here in the comment section can teach me how to properly utilize outbreaks in Scarlet and Violet, however, as I feel like I haven't had much success with them. If any of you know, please drop some hot tips in the comments or something. So we discussed how utilizing mass outbreaks is a great way to get a lot of research tasks out of the way quickly. But there is one way that, while it isn't shiny hunting and may not be as fun, can get the job done way quicker. The Obsidian Fieldlands is ripe with low-level Pokemon that are easy to pick on and rack up your dex counts faster than a Burret. Bidoof, Wurmple, and Starly are all easy to backstrike and get a free turn on. But I think one of my favorites has to be the Magikarp in the water by the Ouroboros Tunnel, as they will use Splash over and over again and allow you to spam some of the status moves you may need to use on certain Pokemon for their dex completion. And that brings us to the final tip I have for you today: eat your frogs. The biggest mistake I made throughout my first playthrough was avoiding things like shaking rocks, shaking trees, feeding Pokemon, and all that grindy stuff. In hindsight, I much rather would have spread it out and enjoyed some of them during my playthrough, so I did it the second time and found that by the end of the game, some of the things I frustrated myself so much with, like catching Cherubi or finding Pachirisu in so many shaking trees, were already almost complete. My hottest tip for getting the tough stuff out of the way early is to do every space-time distortion you find, especially in the Coronet Highlands. Cranidos and Shieldon are very elusive, and it's easy to make mistakes with them as far as getting your dex to 10. Catch them early, try every distortion, and don't evolve them until you've gotten their dex level to 10. They're tough catches in these games and only spawn in this way. Also, Cleffa. Get Cleffa done early. This thing drove me nuts. I couldn't find it. I couldn't catch it. Kept running away. I know it's not even that hard. I have no idea why, but just catch a Cleffa in the Coronet Highlands as soon as possible. Well, I hope these tips made you feel pumped up for your next Legends playthrough. I've played it twice now, mainly due to the fact that I lost my Switch and had to re-catch a bunch of shinies, which you can hear about in my other Legends Arceus video. But I think a lot of us in the Pokemon community are feeling like another playthrough of Legends Arceus would be fun prior to the release of the sequel, Legends ZA. And guys, really quick, I just need to shout out Ty Smith 211, our guy who keeps commenting on our vids and getting that algorithm to cook a little bit. Be as cool as Ty and give this video a like, comment, and give our small channel a sub to help us make more Pokemon content for YouTube. We're really hoping to have this channel rolling for when Legends ZA comes out. I would love to set our first official channel goal at 1,000 subscribers. It would mean the world to me and all of our Slack Squad friends if you would help us get there. Stay hard and happy hunting.
Bring back the sound. Bring back the sound.